My friends, today we're talking about 3 things that are absolutely cringe in the car community. We're driving this Mark II Shelby Cobra replica from Factory 5. You can actually rent this exact car yourself from Monterey Touring Vehicles, linked below. Gorgeous sunset too, out here in Big Sur. We also have a dedicated review of this car that you can find linked below. Getting in, oh, it's quite a process. We have these old school racing style seatbelts as well, which are so rad, but probably not the exact piece of safety equipment you want to be testing out if you were to ever unfortunately get in an accident. So the 3 things. Number 1 is actually badge snobbery, and I think most of you guys who are car enthusiasts are not guilty of this, but many people are. Oh, tragic story. 2 parents and their 5-year-old son ended up in the water. There's been a search and rescue team praying that they all end up okay. Now back to the 3 things. Badge snobbery. I actually saw a few comments on my recent Porsche Cayman 987.1 versus BRZ video. And some people were saying, well, why would you ever want to choose a Subaru over a Porsche? You have to tell people you're driving a Subaru rather than a Porsche. And that alone is reason enough to sway that decision, which I think is absolutely idiotic. You should not care at all about the badge. In fact, that reminds me of a story. The last ever Cars and Coffee I went to was in Las Vegas. And the organization ran the Cars and Coffee just fine, but I realized at this Cars and Coffee, or maybe it was called Gears and Grinds actually, that a lot of the people there, at least in Vegas, don't really enjoy cars the same way that I do. And there's a lot of badge snobbery, and they're more flex enthusiasts than car or driving enthusiasts. And I had just gotten my Lotus Emira, and because it's a new car, they have me park in the front with the Ferrari 458 Spider and the Aston Martin. It was actually a DBX, the SUV, which was funny, but they had a few exotic cars in the front, and they had me park my Lotus Emira next to them. And I was chatting with the 458 Spider owner, and we were talking about the great aspects of the 458, and then the 997.2 GT3 came up too, and I was comparing and contrasting them, the relative strengths and weaknesses and how I love both for different reasons. And he said, yeah, but Kevin, let's be real. Do you want to tell people you drive a Porsche where they're going to assume that you drive some cheap Cayman, or do you want to tell them you drive a Ferrari where, worst case, they assume you drive a 355 instead? And at that point, I was speechless and proceeded to walk away and speak to someone else about cars and driving in the way that I enjoy. Because to prioritize, imagine telling someone you're driving a Porsche versus a Subaru or a Porsche versus a Ferrari. Who gives a fuck, dude? And I get it. As humans, we are social status seeking creatures. It's hardwired into us evolutionarily. But we have to be better than our evolutionary instincts. Even my mom, I don't think that she succumbs to this, but my mom was also pointing out once when I drove my 2013 Scion FRS, I had quit plastic surgery residency, my business was booming, And she said, Kevin, you're still driving that old Scion FRS. You now bought a house. Why aren't you driving a BMW? And that wasn't because my mom was talking about badge snobbery. She just knew that as a kid, I idolized the E36 and E46 M3s. But obviously BMWs of late are completely different animals than those iconic BMW M3s from the 90s and early aughts. And I told her, well, although it would impress people if I drove a BMW M3 rather than my Scion FRS, I just like the way my Scion FRS drives more, honestly. And I was really excited to drive the second gen GR86 next. So I bought that and sold my FRS. And I remember I was dating another girl at the time, not my lovely girlfriend right now, but this prior girl had told me, Kevin, why do you want to get the new GR86? You should get a Porsche. And I was like, nah, I don't necessarily need a Porsche right now in my life. Maybe I'll get a Supra. And she would say, no, that's another Toyota. You want a Porsche. She was also clearly a badge enthusiast. Not what I'm about. That relationship obviously didn't last. What about you? My current girlfriend is a good driving enthusiast. She loves the Amira and the Miata. Ain't that right?
Did they know that this car's naturally aspirated?
Yeah, this car's naturally aspirated. See, you know a thing or two about cars.
Yeah, and it's a two-seater.
And it's a two-seater? And what about the chassis? Does it have double wishbone?
No.
In the front it does. Now, the second thing that way too many people care about is whether or not someone else drives their car. You see this everywhere on Reddit, on YouTube, on forums, where people will have a value judgment about someone else being unworthy or doing the car enthusiast thing wrong for not driving their car. And who are you to judge anyways? And I get the irony here because I clearly think being a badge enthusiast is a silly idea. But I also think it's a silly idea to tell someone else how they should enjoy the car that they own. Some people want to put tons of miles on their car and enjoy every moment. And a higher odometer just means more memories, more smiles. And that was my philosophy with my cars in the past. I used to be precious with them, and then I was like, you know what? Why am I doing the 2-bucket wash method? And why am I being so particular about getting it PPF'd and opti-coated? You know, this ceramic coating and this and that, and garage parking it all the time. Who cares? I'm not gonna keep it forever. I admittedly was never precious about the odometer. I always thought that you gotta drive a car, don't worry about the odometer, but I've never owned a super exotic, high-priced vehicle where that actually matters. But let's say even if I was fortunate enough to own something like a Carrera GT, which is probably my #1 dream car of all time. Other than a McLaren F1, but that's just too unobtainium. Well, I'm gonna drive that car the way I want to, and I'm not gonna worry if I'm putting enough miles on it or not. And the counter argument is, well, when people are just hoarding these cars and they're keeping them in a garage and not enjoying them the way they were designed to, it is wrong, or it artificially inflates the market value of the cars that we want to buy. Well, not really, actually, because there are so few people that do that it doesn't actually change the market values in a meaningful way. And plus, if you are fortunate enough to buy one of those low mileage examples in the future, then wouldn't you want a lower mileage clean example that you can then put miles on if you want to? So if you want to put a ton of miles on your car and get the most memories out of it, I applaud you, I respect you. That's actually my philosophy with my cars too. But if you have a highly exotic car and you want to maintain its resale value because you put a big chunk of change into it, I'm not going to judge you. And I don't know why so many people online do as well. And actually I do know the reason why. It's called virtue signaling, where you pretend that you are better than someone else because of your virtues. You have some values, some beliefs, some way you conduct yourself in the world that you believe is better than other people. And again, I get the irony because I do think badge snobbery and badge enthusiasts are not the right way to do things. But I also think that anyone who owns a car can do whatever they want to it because it's their car to own. And the third and final cringe-worthy activity that I see in the car enthusiast space are people that take cars that they own and their identity associated with them way too seriously. Meaning that they can't see fault in the car they own because they think that admitting fault is admitting some massive insecurity or massive failing personally, which is silly. There is no car that is perfect. I love my Lotus Emira, but that car has significant drawbacks. The engine is not that great. Now, the Throttle House boys actually said it was a more special engine than the Cayman GTS 4.0, which I think is absolute nonsense. And they were the only people that said that at the beginning because, yes, it has that more supercharged whine, which is more unique, and it's a very interesting engine, but the red line is just cuts the fun way too short. In a more recent video about future classics, they actually have updated their opinion and say, yes, they agree that now the Lotus Emira does not have a special engine or as special as many other cars, and it actually holds it back, and I totally agree with that.
In its current modern day setting, the engine lets it down a bit because there's a lot more exotic stuff going on at the moment with other cars.
Now, I love the Throttle House boys, but look at this. I am the owner of the Lotus Emira, yet I was more critical of the engine than them, and they never owned the car. That's how it should be. We should be able to be open and honest about all the cars we own, the pros and cons. I'm very open about the things I like about my Mazda Miata, and also the things I don't like, because that car, while good, is certainly flawed. And similarly, I love many things about my Lotus Emira, but it too is not perfect. And there you have it, my friends. 3 cringeworthy things I see so often in the car community, but let me know what you think. What do you agree or disagree with? Leave a comment down below. Much love, my friends. If you want to drive this exact same Mark II Factory 5 Cobra replica, then check out Monterey Touring Vehicles, linked below. Much love, my friends, and I'll see you all in that next one.